Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I'm doing this video as a response, a follow-up to a video I had did a while back called The Myth of Black Racism. Now, I've been going back and forth with mostly white folks, but surprisingly, a lot of black folks. And what I've been accused of in that video, or I should say me and Ambassador Sarr were accused of, is redefining racism, like coming up with our own definition of racism in order to justify the point that we're making. So what I decided to do was go to the dictionary and get the definition of racism and see if what we're saying is true or whether we're just pulling this out of our ass. When you go to dictionary.com, and you can go to Webster's and go to all of them, but they basically have the same thing. But I'm just going to dictionary.com. The definition of racism is a belief or doctrine that inherent differences among the various human races determine cultural or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule others. The second part of that definition is a policy, system of government, etc., based upon or fostering such a doctrine, discrimination. And the last part of the definition says hatred or intolerance of another race or other races. So, what I'm going to do is go through each one of those points and show how if black African people are racist, they suck at racism. We are the worst racists on the face of the earth. So, point one. The first attribute of racism, according to the definition, a belief or doctrine that inherent differences among the various human races determine cultural or individual achievement. Usually the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule others. Well, how do you think we've come up in that definition? Because collectively we've embraced integration over nationalism. We went the route of Martin Luther King trying to sit at the same table and shit out of the same toilet with white folks. So this is a very strange attribute of a racist, where we would rather be around you than to be away from you. We also endorse inequality and individualism over race-first collective empowerment. That's the reason why. Well, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'll just stick with that. That's what we endorse. The concept of equality, everyone's equal, and we're into individualism, which means that we don't have any collective power within this structure. Because we're endorsing this concept of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can do it all on your own. We don't need cultural cohesion and group cohesion because that's the devil. I guess that's the enemy. Another thing, it says that usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule others. How the fuck you gonna rule others when you don't even rule yourself? We have the inability to control our own environment, let alone controlling and ruling other groups' environments. And this is another strange attribute of racists. We are very comfortable with white people and every other ethnic group holding social, economic, and political power over us. We're very comfortable with that. You don't see any movements going on right now where black men are getting together to say, you know what, I can't stand this white man being in power because I'm a racist and I believe my race should rule over everybody else. Where's that movement at? Where do you see it? It doesn't fucking exist. So, your number one point or your number one aspect of racism has already been blown out of the water according to your own definition. Now, the second point. Attribute of racism. A policy, system of government, etc., based upon fostering such a doctrine, discrimination. Where is the policy or system of government in place now in the black African community? We don't have an infrastructure or a system of governments or any systematic problem solving anywhere to be found currently. Where is it? Where is it? Show me it. If I'm wrong, if I'm saying something and just pulling this crap up out of my ass, show me the system where we enforce our so-called racism or our prejudice or our feeling of superiority of the other groups. I said it before and I said it again. I'll say it again. Prejudice plus power is racism. Prejudice minus power is shit talking. Black folks talk shit. We'll say shit about white folks because, we're in a position of dominance, being underneath the rule of white folks. So we'll talk shit about them. But what else can we do besides talk shit? Or on a personal level, you may see a white boy and you fuck his ass up, or a white girl and fuck her up. But other than that, and then there's repercussions to that. Don't think you're just gonna go around beating up white people and there ain't gonna be no repercussions. As evidence in the fact that there's a history of white people beating us and killing us and committing acts of violence against us in this country, and absolutely no history of us doing that to them. As a matter of fact, you can count it on your hands. There ain't a lot of black folks out here killing white people. Get the fuck out of here. It happens. Like you got Colin Ferguson and you got other acts of violence against whites, but it is nowhere as pervasive as the amount of violence against Africans. So don't even pull that up as a talking point. Another thing, and I've mentioned this before, we refuse to discriminate. Another strange attribute of a racist. We refuse to discriminate. Anyone can set up shop in and make money off our community and not pay a tribute. Anyone. Come on down, set up shop in the black community, and we will go to your business and make you rich, and you can take your money, take it out of the community, and take it to your money. And also, while you're in our community stealing our money, you got up all of these plastic containers and all of these things that keep us away like we're freaking animals. But yet you'll come and set up shop in our community to make money off of us. So there goes that concept of a free market, like they talk about how the market regulates itself. You have people who will take your money and still have no respect for you, even though you're making them rich. Very strange attribute of a racist. And like I said, and I'll repeat this because I already got ahead of myself, we have the inability, other than on a personal, one-on-one dislike level, to affect the lives of white people with our supposed hatred of white people, and unable to mobilize any type of movement based on this mythological hatred. So if black folks are racist, how come we can't mobilize off that racism? Why can't we develop some type of a movement? Why isn't Mr. Holism, why don't I have 1 million views? Why don't I have, hundreds of thousands of subscribers? Because you would figure that people would gravitate toward me since we're so racist. I'm going to get to the last point. Hatred or intolerance of another race or races. Here's the one that really blows this out of the water. It shows that black people really, really suck at racism. We love the culture of every ethnic group but us. If you go to black folks and you try to ask them who we are, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We choose to identify ourselves religiously instead of politically. So we'll be Christian before we'll say we're African. Christian is a religion. Christianity refers to religion. It doesn't really have a land, doesn't really have a culture. It's a religious, tendency. Your persuasion is toward Christianity, or you're a Muslim, or you're a Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? Or you're this or you're that, whatever. But that's religious. What we don't refer to is ourselves politically, which would mean attaching yourself to land, something tangible, and culture. Religion is a part of culture, but religion is not within itself not culture. So this is a very strange attribute of someone who is a racist, or people who are based on a racist group, as they say. Another thing is, black folks are xenophiles, not xenophobes. And in case you don't know the definition of a xenophile loves everything that doesn't look like them. Anything strange, anything different, that's what a xenophile loves. A xenophobe fears everything that doesn't look like them. So white folks are xenophobes, black folks are xenophiles, which makes for a very interesting relationship. But let me get back to the thing about we love every ethnic group but us. You ask black folks, go to each individual black African person and ask them, who are we as a people? Who are we? A very small percentage will say we're African. You got people who think that we're Asian. You got people who think that we're Native American. You got people who think that we're Hebrew, we're this, we're that. Everything but African. Anything that attaches you to land and culture. You'll hear people say we're black. You know, they'll say we're black, but then they reject the African. I don't necessarily have a problem with black as long as you attach the African to it. But when you just say we're black and we're not African, I got a real issues with you. Because you're going from taking us to something tangible to a void of nothingness. Because that's what you do. If you attach black to African, then black has there's a divinity attached to blackness. But when you separate it from Africa, you're just stepping into a black hole of nothingness. So, I guess I made my point. If anyone has anything that they feel that they want to dispute what I'm saying, please feel free to respond to this video. Because I think I've shown once and for all that we can kill this talking point that black folks are racist. Because if we are, we suck at it. We're not racist. We are not racist. We can discriminate, which we don't do. We can be prejudiced, which we really don't do. We prejudge white folks based upon our history in this country, but we don't do anything about it. Like, how can you say you really hate white folks when you go and work for them? How can you say you really hate white folks when you live in their infrastructure and empower their systems? How much hatred do you really say you have? It's like a prostitute saying that she hates her pimp, but he ain't stopping getting paid off of her. So if she really hates him, she'll go out and first of all stop funding his reality and start funding her own and start working in her own interest instead of working in the interest of the pimp. Until you do that, your so-called dislike and your so-called prejudice and your so-called discrimination, which you do not do, it's just you talking shit while somebody else is running the show. And I defy anybody to prove me wrong. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I'll holler at you good people later. Peace.